The dust storm slammed into Caldwell Ranch like a freight train on a Thursday afternoon. Elena Moretti stood amid the twisted metal of the old barn, her Italian accent sharp as she barked orders at the ranch hands. Blood seeped through Henry Caldwell's flannel shirt from where a flying fence post had gashed his arm, but his gaze wasn't on the pine, it was locked on her. 6 months ago, she'd been nothing more than the quiet housekeeper he'd hired on a whim, blending into the background like dust on the prairie. Now, here she was, directing his crew with the fire of a general, her dark hair tangled in the wind, her simple dress ripped and dirt-streaked. She was a force of nature, and she was set to vanish from his life forever. "You need a doc, Mr. Caldwell," she said, dropping to her knees in the mud, her hands shaking as she pressed a rag to his wound. Henry grabbed her wrist. "Don't go, Elena." She looked away, her voice barely above the dying wind. "The whole town's buzzing. They say I'm not good enough for a man like you." "Let 'em buzz," he growled, pain mixing with desperation. "You're tougher than anyone in this godforsaken corner of Texas." But had the gossip and judgment already poisoned what they'd built? If you've ever questioned whether love can bulldoze through class lines and small-town bigotry, stick around. This tale will hit you square in the chest. Spring dragged its feet into the Panhandle Plains in 1892. Henry Caldwell watched from his farmhouse window as the new girl, Elena, something Italian name, he mangled in his head-hung laundry on the line out back. She'd come over on a steamer from Naples, or so the agency said. His wife, Sarah, had passed 5 years back from a bad fever, leaving him with cold suppers and endless silence on his 10,000-acre spread. He'd built a cattle empire from nothing, but his calloused hands had lost the knack for tenderness. Elena's English was halting, laced with caution. She cooked like she'd trained in heaven and cleaned like she was wiping away her own shadow. For a month, Henry hardly registered her existence until that rainy night when thunder rattled the windows, and he found her in the kitchen at 2 a.m., flour dusting her apron, eyes red from crying. "Can't sleep?" he asked, leaning in the doorway. She jumped, nearly spilling the dough. "Sorry, Mr. Caldwell. I bake. For morning. Rain makes me remember. The earthquake in Italy. Lost my brothers." Henry, at 55, had never heard grief wrapped in such a melodic lilt. "My Sarah used to knit when storms hit. Kept her mind off things." Elena's hands paused. "Does she make good things?" "Awful scarves," Henry chuckled faintly. "But she tried. In that dim kitchen, something cracked open, not romance. Not yet, but a shared ache from losses that wouldn't heal." Come dawn, a fresh peach cobbler waited on his table. It tasted like a second chance. As spring bloomed into summer, Henry started inviting Elena to join him for meals at the big oak table instead of eating alone in the back room. She'd sit straight-backed, answering his questions with measured words. "Tell me about Italy," he'd say. "Beautiful place," she'd murmur, eyes distant. "Hills green like here, but smaller. Family is big, always together." Her smile faded. "You miss your wife?" Henry nodded. "Texas is about starting over, though. Wide open spaces to reinvent yourself." Their hands grazed when she refilled his coffee. She didn't flinch. The grip hit him hard, an Augusta, nasty bug that left him bedridden. Elena nursed him like he was kin, bringing broth every hour, reading faded newspapers from Amarillo, dabbing his forehead with cool cloths. On the fourth night, feverish and rambling, Henry clutched her hand. "Stay with me." "I stay," she whispered, "until you better." "Not just till then," he rasped, his eyes meeting hers in the lantern glow. "Elena, I need you here. For good." She touched his face gently. Henry, his name on her lips, sounded like redemption. When the fever lifted, the air between them had shifted. But Henry Caldwell was a big name in this dusty panhandle town. and Elena Moretti was the hired help. Folks whispered that some divides were carved too deep to cross. Mrs. Hargrove from the First National Bank spotted it first. Elena's dresses were cotton, no more now linen, finer stuff. She carried herself taller, like a woman who knew her worth. That Italian girl's getting uppity, Mrs. Hargrove hissed to her bridge club. Henry's fooling himself. The rumors ignited like dry grass. At the feed store, chatter hushed when Elena walked in. Women clucked behind fans. Men leered with envy or disdain. Henry brushed it off, but he saw the toll on Elena. "We could keep things low-key," he suggested one evening on the porch swing, stars blanketing the sky. "You ashamed?" she asked, turning to him. "Never," he said fiercely, taking her hand. "But this town's got unwritten laws about who belongs with who." Elena squeezed his fingers. "In Italy, my papa was a fisherman, a poor fisherman. Mama from a merchant family people said no match. They are happy for 40 years. This ain't Italy," Henry muttered. "No," she fired back, eyes flashing. "This Texas land of opportunity, yes?" The county fair in September sealed their fate. Henry hadn't shown his face at a social since Sarah's funeral, but he strode into the fairgrounds with Elena on his arm, she in his sapphire blue gown, him in his best boots and vest. The fiddle music screeched to a halt. Heads swiveled. Whispers erupted like gunfire. "Howdy, neighbors," Henry said coolly. "Fine night for some fun." The band struck up again, but the stares lingered. All evening, men asked Elena to dance some politely, others with smirks that boiled Henry's blood. Buck Harlan, the richest rancher after Henry, pulled her too tight during a two-step. "Easy there, Buck," Henry's voice cut through the crowd. Harlan sneered. "Just dancing with your Maid." The word landed like a slap. Elena stepped away, face flushed. "I need air." Outside by the livestock pens, she gripped the rail, tears threatening. "They are right. I need your help. You big man, Hiru worlds apart." Henry moved behind her, close enough to catch her rose-scented soap. "Turn around." When she did, he cupped her chin. "You're not my maid anymore. You're the woman I'm falling for hard." Her breath hitched. "Henry, I don't give a damn what they think." "What do you think?" She searched his eyes. "I think you best man I know." He kissed her then, under the harvest moon, the world narrowing to her warmth, her sigh against him. But small towns don't let go easily. Come morning, trouble rode in. A posse of the town's elite Mayor Wilkins, Banker Hargrove, Sheriff Tate, and a few more sat their horses in Henry's yard at dawn. "Henry," Mayor Wilkins called, all fake cheer. "We got to chat." Henry stepped out, coffee in hand, stance loose, but eyes hard. "About community standards," Sheriff Tate said. "Texas is growing statehood settled, but we got to keep things proper." "You saying I'm improper?" Henry asked, voice low. Banker Hargrove leaned in. "That foreign girl's a bad look. Beneath your station. Think of your reputation and ours." From the window, Elena watched Henry's jaw tighten. "You got 5 seconds to ride off my land for I lose my temper." They left, but the warning hung heavy. That night, Elena found Henry nursing a whiskey in his study. "I heard," she said softly. He looked up. "Elena, I quit." The words punched the air. "I'm going tomorrow. You find the right wife, make the right life." Henry surged to his feet. "Like hell." "Henry, please." Tears fell. "I bring shame." He gripped her arms. "You bring light. To hell with the town you re, my everything now." Instead of words, he kissed her with raw need, lifting her as she wrapped around him. They stumbled to his bedroom, doors slamming, hands frantic on buttons and laces. In the firelight, her skin glowed. His touch ignited her gasps. "My Elena," he murmured. Then chaos erupted outside, crashing wood, panicked cattle, shouts. They froze, half-clothed. Fire. Elena cried. Henry grabbed his shotgun. Flames licked his main corral, where his top-breeding steer bellowed in terror. By sunrise, the fire was doused, but the steer lay dead smoke inhalation, worth a fortune. A scrawled note on the gate, "Send the wop away." Elena stood in the ruins, ashen. "My fault." "No," Henry snarled. "Cowards work." But while he assessed with his foreman, Elena packed and slipped toward town. She got 4 miles before Henry thundered up on horseback, scooping her into a fierce embrace. She pounded his chest. "Let go. I curse you fires. Loss is what next. They hurt you. You leaving would hurt worse," he said, holding tight. "You're my home." 3 weeks later, the twister tore through. Elena was folding linens when the sky turned black, a funnel clawing the earth straight for the ranch. She yelled for the hands to secure the herd, then raced to the barn where Henry tended a lame horse. The wind howled like demons, the roof shredded. Henry shoved Elena toward the root cellar as a beam crashed down, cracking his skull. She screamed, but the roar drowned it. Post-storm, Elena dug him from the debris, blood everywhere. For a heart-stopping second, she feared the worst. "Help!" she commanded the crew. They looked to her, not the foreman. "Boards make litter. Now!" Henry came 2 days later to the doc's office in town, Elena's exhausted face hovering. "You're up," she whispered, smiling through weariness. "The ranch," he croaked. "Safe. I handled it, cattle penned, barn fixable." He tried sitting, wincing. "How long?" 2 days. Doc says concussion stay here a week. A week in town, under prying eyes? Henry took her hand. "Elena, marry me." She gasped. "Fever talking." He pushed up, ignoring the throb. Clear as day. "Marry Metaday." Tears welled. "People will." "Screw him. We've given him enough gossip." She saw only certainty in his eyes. "Yes. Yes, Henry." They were the next day in Sheriff Tate's office, the same man who'd warned him off. Elena, in her blue gown, Henry bandaged but beaming. The sheriff's wife witnessed, lips pursed, but even she softened at the kiss. "You may kiss your bride," Tate grumbled. Henry did thoroughly. By 1893, spring burst early across the plains. Elena Caldwell misses. Henry Caldwell stood on the porch of their rebuilt home, hand on her rounding belly, watching Henry break in new Mustangs. Moretti's Deli opened in town 4 months post-wedding. At first, the proper folk boycotted the immigrant spot, but Elena's sandwiches and pastas conquered prejudices. Hunger trumped hate. Now it buzzed daily. Even Mrs. Hargrove conceded her lasagna beat anything east of the Mississippi. Henry swung down from his horse. 56 now, with gray at his temples, still ruggedly handsome. "How's my girl?" "Like a buffalo." Elena laughed, leaning into him. "But happy. Boy or girl?" "Boy," he said. "Stubborn like his ma." She studied him. "Regret the fights? The town's cruelty?" He pondered. "Took time, but success silences fools. Ranch is booming, Deli's gold, and I'm on the county board now. The good ones stuck by us. The rest don't count." Elena smiled fiercely. "I love you, Henry Caldwell." "And I you, Elena Caldwell." They watched the sunset gild their Lantis by storms, fires, and spite, but yielding bounty. In a vast Texas sky, Elena knew she'd claimed her piece of the American dream. What do you think? Should love ignore class and origins? Or do societal rules protect us? Share your stance in the comments below. Did Henry and Elena's defiance inspire you? Or do you side with the town's warnings? Let's debate.